Hi, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about getting clients for your app company. Okay, so today I want to answer a question by Nabster. He left this on the complexity of charging clients from last Friday. He said, I like these videos. I didn't know you were a motorcycle guy. Cool. Yeah, I'm a cliche midlife crisis guy, right? The motorcycle, all that stuff. I'll get a sports car one of these days. Right. Can you talk a bit about client acquisition and how to get clients if you're in the app biz? Thanks. Now this is something I really like to do. In fact, I love doing client acquisition. Right? I love bringing in clients. I like client acquisition more than I like having clients, right? If you know what I mean. So it's nice to go out there and toot your own horn and try to get people to come in, even though a lot of the times we don't have time to take them on. So like right now, we turn away about 3 out of 4 projects. Because well, actually more than that, I guess. We get about 3 to 4 requests a week, and then a lot of times we just don't have time to take them on. So I'll either just say we don't have time, or I'll go for a bit of a higher quote just to, because they could go on to somebody else, which I know I probably shouldn't do. But for the longest time, it was really hard. So I mentioned this before. When I became a contractor to begin with, when I set up Overpass. I use it to contract first, so I needed a company entity, so I set up Overpass. But what I really wanted to do was have my own software company with my own clients, all that kind of stuff. So I'd work like for a few years at a contract, and eventually I would have enough money saved that I'd say, that's it, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to find some clients. And then I would have these awkward moments where I'd work on my own stuff. I'd do the website, all the stuff everybody does, right? I just need to fix up my website first. I just need to read this book first. I just need to do this first, right? And I didn't want to get on the phone and call anybody. And when I did, it was really awkward. I showed you this book already before, Cold Calling Techniques That Really Work, and I've got a bunch of these books, right? So it was really hard to do the outreach thing. So doing outbound marketing. So actually cold calling or cold emailing, all that kind of stuff. And I still do the cold emailing sometimes. So right now, most of the clients that we get are inbound. So they find Overpass. And there's 2 different types of clients. So you've got the individuals, somebody like me when I started out. They just want to do an app and they're looking for a developer to help them with it, or a company. So like maybe a small company, they have like something for their users. And between the 2 of them, I prefer the company, but we've done work with both. The company, just because it's less emotional, right? So if somebody invests their savings in something that's their hopes and dreams, a lot of times it can get really stressful because they just want everything to be perfect, and they don't want anything to go off the rails and all that kind of stuff. So you have to be very reassuring. But anyway, so I think there's probably 3 ways that most of the inquiries come through. One of them is the video. So this video is it's to talk to developers. Like the audience for this video is mostly app developers, and none of you are ever going to need Overpass to do your apps. That's just the fact of the matter. But a lot of people might do searches and they might find stuff, and occasionally we'll get somebody who calls up and says, I saw one of your videos, I'd like to know how much it costs to do this and all that stuff. So that's one way. So basically, all the content creation, not just the videos, but videos, the blogs, the infographics, the social media, all that kind of stuff, which it seems frivolous. And this is one of the reasons why it's hard to stay with, because it seems like, I don't know if this is really making a difference, but it is a case of, getting out there and making yourself known. Like I said a few days ago, every market is crowded, and to be an app developer is really crowded, right? Another way is just through SEO techniques. So a friend of mine, Matt, he now runs a company called KYO Digital. He came, I hired him for a while, and he wanted to do some SEO work, and he would basically set up like location pages. So that if somebody says app developer in Wantage, which is the town we're in, Overpass would come up at the top. But also if they put other places that are nearby, then it comes up high there too. So we've got loads of them. In fact, we got loads where I've actually had calls from so one of my clients is in the Isle of Wight, and when they called up, they said, yeah, Eric, could we come do you think we can have a chat about this requirement that we have, this company? And I said, yeah. I said, yeah, we're in the Isle of Wight. And I said, okay, yeah, no, cool. And because I'm American, I didn't know where the Isle of Wight is. All those years as an American high school student, filling in those maps of the states with no labels on them. So I know all of the states in America, but I still don't. My geography of the UK is still not very good. But it was 2-3 hours out there, got to take a ferry. It was awesome. So there's lots of, so there's the SEO side of things. So there's content, there's SEO, and then one of the ones that's really big is LinkedIn. So for some reason, a lot of people find us through LinkedIn, which is probably, of all the social media networks, it's my least favorite. It's the most spammy, it's the most, all that kind of stuff. So every time we put out a new article or, sometimes the videos, but not so much the daily ones, those go through LinkedIn. The profiles set up, every time we get the endorsements, all that kind of stuff. And also when somebody gives a request on LinkedIn, I always approve it. So regardless of, whatever it is. And usually it's like a development company that'll say, somebody says you got a connection request from so-and-so, let's say John Smith, and it says business development or business development manager, and you think, that just means salesman. That means he's gonna email me immediately, but I just approve it anyway. So I just get like loads of spam, right? So, and the reason I do that, my strategy for LinkedIn that way is that LinkedIn, the search works that the closer you are in connection to the person, then the higher you show up in the ranks. So like if you do a search for app developer, it'll show first all your first degree connections, the people you're directly connected to, and then your second degree connections where you're just one person between you and them. So all these people who are like massive connectors and they connect to as many people as possible, and they connect to me also, then that means for a lot of people, for whatever, 20,000 people or whatever, I'm higher up in the rankings because of that. So it's surprising how many people, when I say how did you learn about Overpass, they say LinkedIn, which is kind of like the most, like it's the one I don't like the most. It's like I looked you up in the phone book kind of thing. I like it when they find the videos or they find some of our content, all that stuff that we worked on, but it isn't. So and then also, of course, there's the apps. So when people see the apps, they get to see that kind of stuff. So you got to think, if you're going to run an app development company, your apps are primarily to generate revenue, so primarily to bring money in, but also they in a secondary way, they work as like a portfolio piece. So if anybody wants to know what kind of work we do, I don't need to show them every other client we've had. And believe me, I don't like it when a software company contacts me and they give me a list of their apps, but they're not their apps, they're other people's apps, right? I prefer it if it's their own, because that means that they worked on it. To give you an example, is the first company that I hired who did work on EarSpy, they started including EarSpy in all of their marketing materials, as well as a lot of my other apps. And those apps were not all their intellectual property. I brought in designers from other places, and I brought in people from other places to work on these, but it was still part of their thing. So those are just it. So for me, I was so terrible at doing outbound marketing, although it is fun to do, and I have done it. I've had some really good meetings with companies based on outbound stuff, but we've been so busy lately that we're just doing inbound stuff. And you could say, inbound is like, it's really nice. It's nice when somebody, contacts you and you don't have to go out there and reach for somebody, because they're already sold. They've already done the research for the most part, and they're really eager to get that done, rather than do, cold calling companies that may or may not even need an app. So anyway, that's just my experience. I think if you're going to do an app development company, work on your own, the appearance is everything. Work on your own social media, work on your own apps, establish yourself, like with every job, whatever you're going to do, try to establish yourself in the industry. Like if, say you were hiring window washers, for example, and you had two people come to you. One guy said, yeah, I'm a window washer, I'm from John Smith Window Washing, and another guy said, yes, I'm with fantastic window company, and I've written articles, I've done blogs, I'm an established authority on window washing, even though you don't need all that, because it's just a simple job. But that's more the person you would lean to, because you think, well, he's a professional, he knows what he's doing. And professionalism is probably one of the biggest things that you could do in terms of getting new clients, is just being able to, and it's difficult, because it always feels like it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make it, it feels like it doesn't make a difference to make the app a little bit nicer, or to do a keyword research, or to do those extra blog posts. It's easy to say, oh, I don't have time to do a blog post today, but in the long run, it's like going to the gym. It's important, even though you don't see the immediate effects of it. Anyway, that's it for today. It's kind of, well, I hope it makes sense. People will disagree with me on that. And doing client work, if I had a choice, between our own apps that generate revenue and the client stuff, the own apps all the time, but the client stuff is good too. So if that's something you're looking to do, start establishing your brand now. Start, looking at it from the people contacting you, and don't be that person who sends the email that says, hi, we're a company, we specialize in this, and name like 50 things and everything. Because if they come to you rather than you go to them, then you have a lot more in your favor. So anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.